We've all made mistakes with money from time to time, but some of those mistakes can be not only really costly, but they can cost you money year after year after year. In this video, I'm going to share with you 8 deadly money traps to avoid to grow your wealth faster. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson, and I want to talk to you about money traps that I've seen not only myself fall into, people in my own life fall into, and people that I work with and people that I just see here in our audience falling into. So let's get started with number 1. It will come as no surprise to our frequent viewers that the biggest money trap I see the average person falling into is paying a lot of taxes, okay? People are conditioned to believe that if you live in the United States or in Canada or Australia or Ireland, whatever you may live in your Western country, that the tax rates are just supposed to be high. It's the price that you pay for civilization. These people don't go to Dubai, they don't go to Malaysia, they don't go to many other countries around the world where the roads are beautiful, things are glistening, skyscrapers are glistening, everything works well. And they just think that, hey, if I have to give 40 or 45 or 50 or even 60% in some cases of my wealth away. This is obviously a huge money trap. We've got dozens of other videos on how you can fix it here. Obviously, what a lot of people do is they go out and they hire accountants to help them find proper deductions and to reorganize their businesses or whatever it may be to reduce tax domestically. That's a drop in the bucket. For me, the idea of going offshore and having an international life is one of the easiest ways to reduce this number 1 money trap. Because if you have a decent income, let's say you make $500,000 a year, you're going to pay millions and millions and millions of dollars over the course of your life that could have been compounded and could have built tremendous wealth for you by the time you retire. Money trap number 2 is a lack of planning. A lot of people don't exactly know where their money is going. They don't know what the purpose of their money is. So the first thing that's important is having some semblance of budget. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I don't sit down every week, every month and make a perfect budget that says exactly what I'm going to spend on food or exactly what I'm going to spend on movie tickets. But I do live within my means, and successful people live well within their means. The beautiful thing about the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle is the ability to not only reduce taxes, but to dramatically cut costs, which means that if you're living as a nomad capitalist, you could potentially save 70 or 80 or even 90% or more of your money, and that makes it a lot easier to do planning. When you're living in a place like the United States, particularly in a high-cost place like California, you've got to be a lot more conscientious about where your money is going. You need to attach an assignment to each dollar that comes in, know where that money is going, and be aware of it because it's so easy to let money get away from you. Number 3 is a lack of intentionality. Are you working, are you doing things intentionally? Are you making money intentionally, and are you spending money intentionally? One thing that I see is, there's a lot of new investment ideas that come out, right? There's the new peer-to-peer lending, or there's the new crowdfunding, there's the new crowd equity or real estate deals, whatever that comes up online. And a lot of these platforms are slick, and people get excited. Oh, I can just jump in with $5,000 and I can own shares of a house. I've done some of that stuff before because I like to test stuff out for Nomad Capitalists that I can tell you about. And every time I'm not totally intentional with my money, every time I'm not following my master plan, I have problems. I did one of those little real estate crowd debt deals and got all my money back, but it was really painful, and it really didn't advance me any further. So in planning and in being intentional, you really want to have a long-term view, right? The successful person says, what happens if I do this in 10 years? Whereas the person who is just making it through the week, the person who's broke, is saying, what happens on Friday, right? One thing I love about Asian cultures, like the Chinese culture, when I first went there about 10 years ago, was how many people are thinking 1 or even 2 generations into the future. That kind of planning and intentionality is what is so powerful for growing your wealth. The number 4 money trap is having an expensive social life. But I'm also going to expand on this and say that it also is general going along to get along. Okay, this comes back to the high tax piece. How many people say, well, all my friends live in this one place, so I'm not going to do what's right for me and right for my money because I want to do what everyone else is doing, right? It's kind of like if you live in a place where everyone has a nice car, you're going to buy a nice car. I can tell you, I never had the nicest of cars, but I bought nicer cars than I might have wanted to because it's just, it's a thing, right? When you live in the United States and you have to drive a car, you figure, why not put money into cars? And so having an expensive social life could mean, you're always going out to parties, you're always going out to clubs, you're spending a bunch of money, you're flying all around the world to go to all of your friends' destination weddings if you can't afford it. That's definitely a trap. But for me, social pressure in general is something that is very expensive, right? And it's one of the benefits that I see of living the nomad capitalist lifestyle. Out my window here in Montenegro, I have different objectives than a lot of the people I meet. And so I don't feel the social pressure to do what everyone else here is doing because I'm living intentionally and I have my own clearly defined vision. Number 5 money trap is not growing your income. Now this really applies to someone who has a job, but it could apply to someone who has a business, right? What are you doing to build your business? What are you doing to increase your skills, to get a raise? I think a lot of people just settle in and they just cruise at altitude at a certain point because at one point their goal was, hey, I want to make $100,000 a year. And then they get there and it becomes comfortable for them. Again, partially because of the social pressure, but I think adapting your goals is important. One thing that I do is I do set goals, but I also leave myself enough room to say, you know what? I might either not hit that goal or I might overshoot that goal, and then I'm just going to go to the next goal. I'm just going to always be growing. I'm going to always be figuring out how to grow my income. So if that's a business, how are you reinvesting into your business to get more customers, to get more clients, to get to the next level, and not just accepting, oh, I'm at the $1 million plateau, why do any more? That's a big money trap. The number 6 money trap is having an expensive significant other. Comment below if this ever has happened to you. Now, it's one thing to have friends who are always encouraging you to go out. Come on, come to the club with us. Let's go in on a bottle together. Friends can be one thing. The social life can be one thing. But an expensive significant other is a higher order of magnitude. This could be, if you have a husband or a boyfriend who's going out spending all of his money on boats or on those kind of toys, or you have a girlfriend or a wife who's spending all of her money on clothes. She needs only the best, only the right brands work. Now, I'm not opposed to spending money on brands, and so that's one area where I would actually push back on what a lot of people say. If you have the $1 million a year business, and especially if you're living the nomad capitalist lifestyle and you're keeping a lot of that $1 million, I don't see the problem with going out and saying, all right, I'm going to buy this $700 pair of sneakers. You can afford it. So nothing wrong with brands, but when you're with someone who's constantly demanding more and more, when they have nothing to do but just go and shop and just rack up the bills, you have a recurring problem. Okay, it's one thing to go out and reward yourself with a nice suit or a nice pair of shoes, but if it's just constantly being racked up, or if someone has a spending addiction with other stuff, buying household knickknacks, whatever the case may be, you're going to have a real problem growing wealth. Not only because they're out spending money, but because you're not on the same page. What was funny was I read one of Jim Rogers' books when I was a teenager, and he would say, I had a couple marriages. I think it was a couple marriages. He said they never lasted long because I wanted to invest all the money, and they wanted to buy furniture. It's not a recipe for success. You got to be on the same page. The number 7 money trap is cars. Now again, I add the caveat that if you're making $1 million and you buy a $50,000 car, okay, big deal. But obviously you don't want to put all of your money in cars, or even a lot of your money in cars. I made a video talking about why I don't own a car because I simply don't like cars. I'd rather go out and buy that nice suit. To me, it's a lot cheaper than putting my money into a car. But cars, anything with wheels and motors, boats, oh, the worst, boats, Sea-Doos, any of that kind of stuff. Unless you really know what you're doing in the classic car space, all this stuff goes down in value, and obviously that's a big money trap because a big portion of your assets they're going down in value every year. We want our assets going up in value every year. And so that brings me to the number 8 money trap, which is hoarding too much cash. Again, I say this in moderation because I think having liquidity is important. I can tell you, people come to me sometimes and I'll figure out, oh, okay, this guy's got a $3 million net worth. We'll be able to get him this or that residency by proving his wealth very easily. And only to find out once we get started that he's got $12 in his bank account because all of his money's going out to invest in crypto or hard assets. I think it's very important to have liquidity and to hoard some cash in the sense of make sure that whatever comes at you, you're prepared for. I don't want you to have to sell your stocks at a loss or have to liquidate a property to either take advantage of an opportunity or deal with some adversity. Some random tax bill comes in or, whatever needs to, get done. Have some liquidity, but if you're hoarding all of your cash, it's not working for you. One thing that I like about the Nomad Capitalist approach is that there's a difference to some extent in hoarding your cash in, let's say, the United States for 1% versus going to, let's say, Cambodia and putting those same US dollars in an account that earns 6%. So when you take a more international approach, you can get more out of that cash, okay? But you could also invest that cash in US dollar denominated Cambodian real estate and make a lot more than 6%. And so I think that a combination of all of those things, so some developed world banks that store your money so that you're liquid enough, some hard assets, whether it's gold, whether it's crypto, whether it's property, whatever it is, having a nice mix is important, but don't keep it all in cash, and certainly don't do that if you are living in a developed country where you're barely getting any interest at all. So those are big 8 money traps that I see from the perspective of someone who is a global citizen, someone who lives the nomad capitalist lifestyle. Leave your money trap below as a comment. Tell me your experiences. What am I missing? I'd like to hear from you. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I wrote this book, which you can find on Amazon, to distill a lot of the stuff we talk about in these videos and a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last decade plus traveling all around the world, teaching you about how to legally reduce your taxes, build your personal freedom, and create wealth faster. Definitely get a copy of this book if you want to learn more. Now, if you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notifications bell so you never miss one of our new videos with more tips on how to go where you're treated best. And if you're already a 6- or 7-figure entrepreneur and you'd like to put these strategies in place for yourself, go to nomadcapitalist.com and learn about how I can help you.